Hello everyone and welcome back to a new video. Today I want to talk about everything what was in the last KPI of Moko. For the people who don't know, Moko is a PvP MMORPG which is getting developed by Supercell. There you hunt monsters, unlock new areas as well as weapons and do your best to protect the creatures of every world from the chaos monsters. The developers of Supercell want to show us what they are working on every now and then and giving us infos, and these infos we call KPIs. This time there were huge changes to progression. They talked about going free to play and focusing on skins as the main monetization method, and a couple other things which they are working on. So let's start right with this video. First, let's talk about the changes to the progression. They're trying out a completely new system and removing materials. Before this, materials were needed to print and upgrade everything in the game. There were tons of different materials which you could get from defeating different enemies. Since some enemies were more rare than others and every boss dropped a special material, this is a huge change to the game. So how do you progress now actually? They added now a new thing called Chaos Cores. These you can get by defeating every monster in the entire game. If you defeat a monster, you have every time a chance of getting a Chaos Core. These Chaos Cores randomly upgrade any of your weapons. This could be your main weapon, this could be a weapon that you don't use, like everything. This is good and bad. First, let's talk about the positives. A main problem of the game was that you could mainly focus only on one weapon, and since it's an MMORPG, you should upgrade every weapon, or like most of it, to have at least a ranged weapon, a medium range weapon and a close range weapon. Upgrading only one weapon or in generally only one set has problems if, for example, a balance change comes out. This could completely screw you over and then you're back at square one. Though, of course, having it set on RNG is also not the best. There are a ton of other problems. Like for example, you can't choose your weapons that you like the most and are set on an RNG. This means that it could happen that out of every weapon you have, your weapon that you play the most gets upgraded last. But there are also daily missions, and in these you can get upgrades which you can choose. So this makes it at least possible to certainly upgrade a certain gear you want. But for now, let's skip this topic and come back to it later. And now to a big part of this KPI. They talked about the monetization of this game. They said, we're shifting focus away from monetizing gear and upgrades and power-ups. Instead, we're all about customization like outfits. This is really good. This means we are not locked behind a timer and can now upgrade everything whenever we want, so we just need to play the game. And of course, since cosmetics are the main way of monetization, they also showed a couple of skins in the last weeks. And not only that, also in this KPI, there were shown 2 skins, which look really good. And not only that, they also show a new weapon, which as you can see on the flames, have a different flame color depending on the skin, which looks really good in my opinion. They also showed us 2 new maps. First, the swamp, which is of course a swamp, a dark place area, which there will be a lot of bug monsters there, which will probably be really cool. And then an ice world, which seems right now that you will be either skating on the ice, because that's the main portion of this map, or you will only be able to walk on the snow, which would, in my opinion, be a bit confusing here, but that's why I think you will skate on the ice most of the time. If there are ice physics, we don't know yet, but we will see probably in the future when the game comes out. So these were all the main things. But as I said earlier, I want to go back to the point with the new upgrade system. First of all, of course, they gave us some reasoning why they did this. Reason 1 is they wanted to make the game more fun to play. The reason is, while removing materials from annoying monsters, you don't have to grind them, and then you don't have to face them and you don't have to struggle with them. That looks like a good point at first, but I will come later to this point. Second, as they said, they didn't want to make the progression pay to win. So by removing the materials, you can no longer pay for upgrades. And the last point is they wanted to simplify this game. By having a ton of materials, this could get overwhelming really fast with a lot of maps. So they wanted to keep it simpler. They also said that they tried it all out on their own for a couple of days, and most of them agreed that the RNG way was, in their opinion, the better way. So these were their points, but I want to talk about these. First of all, let's start with the positives again. I think by making the RNG, nobody can main focus a weapon which gets, for example, to level 90 first and every other weapon is at level 1. So not that one weapon is overpowered and every other weapon is underpowered by a lot, but by making it fair and everything stays round about the same. But not only that, the upgrade system favors low level weapons. This means that if you have a new weapon, this will be upgraded the most when you get new chaos cores. Second, it removes annoying grinding from the game. Like, some enemies were really annoying and yeah, many players wouldn't like them. This makes it a bit more casual, of course, and casuals could get way more of these upgrades. And the last point in my eyes is that it also removes the ability to pre-farm for certain materials. Like, if you are already maxed out, you could just farm materials for weapons which would come, and then you could instantly upgrade these weapons, which is also done in many games, but that just means at the end that you maybe won't even play that weapon for too long, because it doesn't feel special anymore. If you actually apply the weapon on your own and upgrade it one by one each time, it actually feels really rewarding, and you also get attached more to the certain weapon. So now let's hop on the points that are my main critiques with this. First of all, it is not good that there is only one currency to upgrade, especially with RNG. First of all, let's talk about, of course, the RNG in this. Randomly upgrading your weapons and choosing for you is not really fun, especially it can really feel annoying. Let's just say, for example, you have just 30 weapons. You would theoretically have to grind 30 of these cores to get one time the upgrade that you want, on paper. At the end, it could theoretically be that the weapon that you wanted could be upgraded 30 times because you're so lucky and got it 30 times back to back, which the chance is literally by 0. But what would happen more often is that the weapon you were actually trying to upgrade gets upgraded 0 times. And who knows how long you would farm for them. Let's say you could theoretically be stuck for 5 hours, just that the RNG doesn't favor you and you don't get anything really. With materials, your upgrades are certain. You know what you are getting and you know what you would need to grind. This also makes you feel more attached to this weapon, especially if you use that weapon to get these materials. And I agree with some enemies being annoying, but to be honest, I want that. I want some enemies to be real annoying, since every time I tackle this challenge and complete this challenge with these annoying enemies, it felt so rewarding in the beta, and I loved every second of it afterwards. Not only that, afterwards, if you grind something which is more fun, it actually feels way more fun and it feels way more completing. And at the end, it feels way better to actually get these upgrades that you grinded for and you know what you were doing, even if it takes way longer. But of course there were also a lot more problems, and I personally also wrote some of them down to the developers. One of these points were, why would you grind even if you can just AFK? Theoretically, since monsters spawn consistently in the map, you could just hold down the button on your phone, don't move at all, and just wait till the monsters come to you. Since when you hold your button down, you always attack, no matter what. So yeah, you could just stand there and grind these cores while you're not even playing. And this wasn't a problem with materials. Since materials are everywhere and you need to grind everything separately, you can't just AFK bosses or you can't AFK annoying enemies, since they don't spawn either often or they run away. This makes materials way better in my opinion, since I don't think when I grind a specific location for, let's say, 3 hours and somebody AFKs all night, that he gets more rewards than me for doing less. Another point I had is that every upgrade stays the same difficulty. Getting these cores is a percentage chance. And since every core upgrades your weapon equally, this means that level 2 is as hard to reach as level 90. Theoretically, of course, because of course you need to upgrade it 90 times. But then we also come to the point again with RNG, which is just gonna feel annoying. At the start this might be fine and feel okay, but especially later on when you get way more weapons and way more stuff that you can upgrade, this will feel not rewarding at all. Having all of your rewards be per RNG is just not feeling nice. This is like you don't have a sense of accomplishment that you had with materials. Yes, of course, level 90 for example could take you for one weapon 5 hours, but this, when you upgrade the weapon, at the end you will feel so rewarded and you know you did it all by yourself. Instead of defeating one random enemy, getting back to your home, and then just getting the upgrade. You also don't know when it's gonna happen. This could theoretically take you for your weapon that you love the most 1 year or 4 weeks, depending how lucky you get. And another point is that every enemy with the same loot box chances feels the same. Why would you even grind these enemies? Why would you even implement them at first? If some enemies are annoying, why would you even grind them? That doesn't make sense if you don't get anything special for them, like materials. Materials fix this problem by giving every enemy a certain drop, and some drops were also on multiple enemies, so that means you can choose what you want to grind. And not only that, bosses also have this core chance. So it could be theoretically that if you defeat a certain boss, and a really hard boss maybe even, in a certain region, you get nothing, not even an upgrade, you just get nothing. That was never the case with materials because you get a certain amount of materials. Also depending on how much you actually dealt damage to the boss. So materials are in my opinion way better. And last but not least, the thing with materials being too much isn't really a case either. If you make it only so that a couple new materials are per world there, and each new completely different world, not each different map, each different world gives you new materials, this wouldn't feel too overwhelming. And I also talked to a lot of people who also played the beta. I never heard the point of this being overwhelming. These were only some points I made. I could talk about this probably for an hour or so, but for y'all's sake, I rather don't do that. I understand a bit where they're coming from with the RNG, but I don't think that's the way. I really think that materials should have stayed, and they also said that they wanted feedback. So this is basically my feedback to them. I don't think a main progression way with RNG is the way to go for a game, and I really hope that materials come back. Not only that, it's a monster hunting game, and a monster hunting game without materials just feels very off. So we definitely talked enough about these changes, and I really would like to know what you think about them. I know Moko is right now currently still in development, and it could take theoretically also another year till the game comes out. Maybe it only takes 3 months, we don't know yet. But I really hope that materials get reintroduced, and that maybe the RNG thing is a lucky drop that you only get sometimes, and then it's RNG of course. But I think materials should definitely stay. This just made the game what the game was. Hello everybody, Editing Octo here. So we just got some news regarding the last KPI. Couple days after the KPI came out, they made a new post about addressing the feedback. They mentioned a couple things. First of all, they said that they were seeing all the feedback, positive and negative, from the community and are still working on Moko right now. They said that the entirety of Supercell right now is a bit playing Moko to see how the new progression works. They don't have right now a clear winner and are still deciding what they want to do. Both of them have their positives and flaws, which I definitely can agree on. Not only that, they also gave some creators a play test of Moko, and they also shared some feedback similar to the community. And not only that, they also want to give more people access to Moko to test these changes out. And that's not all. From the sounds of it, we may be getting a beta for Moko soon, and they also said that Moko will be probably coming rather sooner than later, which is really cool to see. They were also discussing a bit about the progression, how certain maps will be replayed maybe more often than others, and also that not everything is random, like for example that the cores favor specific weapons which are rather lower level, and that you get some daily missions which also give you choice in what you can upgrade. But they still haven't decided a winner, so it could be at the end that maybe they get even both in, like a changed up variant from both of these. And at the end they also said, quote unquote, "We don't plan on tweaking this meta for another 2 years though, we're itching to get this game out and simply experimenting to see what's the best version of the game before releasing it again." This definitely makes a lot of sense, and I really think they should try it. As much as I personally don't like this system, it definitely has its positives, and these positives could be actually getting gathered and maybe even come with materials. But again, one main thing I really like about this game is the materials, so I really hope they don't completely remove them. So this were basically most of the things which were in the new post. And please everybody, tell me how you feel about these changes, because they really are drastic. So I really would like to know what you guys think. And yeah, this was basically everything what in the KPI was there, and my opinions on the changes. In the next KPI, we will have PvP, and from what we heard, it maybe comes next month. So let's see what will be there. Can't wait to see what they're gonna show us. And yeah, this was basically it from me today. I really hope you all enjoyed this video, and with everything said, I hope I see you all in the next one.